Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of the DAN Show, and welcome to my latest 2021 NFL preview video. Today, I'm going to break down the Pittsburgh Steelers, but before I get started into the video, if you're new here, this is your first time here, I just got to ask you a simple question. Do you like football? Because if so, you're in the right place. That's all we do here is talk NFL football, 365 days out of the year, all 32 teams. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, ring the bell. That way you can be notified every time I come out with a new video. Now, if you've been here before, you already know the drill. You give me a thumbs up and you drop a comment below. Now, here's how this video is going to work. I'm going to give you 3 things I like about the Steelers, followed up by 3 things I don't like. But stick around to the very end where I break down the Vegas over-under and reveal if I am going to put action down on the Steelers. So, hey, let's get this started with the first thing I like about the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's Najee Harris, and I know there's a lot of people out there that say don't take a running back in the first round, but I actually disagree. If you go back in NFL history, I actually did a video, or I made videos, top 10 running backs of all time. Every single one of them is a first-round pick. Matter of fact, most of the great running backs in NFL history were top 5 picks. I mean, you got Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, Eric Dickerson, O.J. Simpson, Jim Brown. Now, you have Emmitt Smith. I think he was 17th overall. Adrian Peterson, I want to say, was 7th or 8th. But all your great running backs were first-round picks, and no team needed a running back more than the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were dead last in the NFL in rushing yards, and Najee Harris is a guy about 30 years ago is the number 1 pick overall. I mean, this is the best running back in the draft. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's athletic, he catches the ball. He's everything that you want, and I think he's going to be a superstar. Matter of fact, I had a buddy of mine, he has fantasy football draft last weekend, and I told him, if you had a chance to take Najee Harris in round 1, this guy is going to be a star, barring injury, and it wouldn't surprise me if he has over 350 touches as a rookie. I think this guy's going to be a Pro Bowler. Big addition, great move by the Steelers. Second thing I like about the Pittsburgh Steelers is their receiving core. Last year, their top 3 receivers had over 100 targets, and that's Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Chase Claypool. Well, the oldest one of these 3 is Deontay Johnson at 25, Schuster's 24, and Claypool's 23. Number 4 on the team in receptions is the old man Eric Ebron, who's 28. Ebron, who actually only started 9 games, he had some injury issues, should be a much bigger part of the offense this year. And then you also have Pat Freiermuth. Hopefully I'm getting the name right. He's a second-round pick out of Penn State, a tight end, because Pittsburgh does use some 2 tight end sets. He's actually going to contribute this year. He's a guy who I really thought would sneak into late round 1. I really liked his game coming out of Penn State. He's a complete tight end with a lot of playmaking ability, and he's going to play this year, and he is going to make some plays. Bottom line, with the Steelers receiving core, all these guys are young. None of these guys have really peaked, and Ebron and Juju have already made Pro Bowls, so the potential of this unit is actually sky high, and they played really well last year. Now, the third thing I like about the Steelers is you got to like the defense. I think people forget how good this defense was last year because of the way the season ended in the playoffs. And people, I think, will also forget about the linebacker injury, specifically to Devin Bush, who was injured early in the season. But the Steelers defense was 3rd overall in points and 3rd in yards, and they were tied with Miami for the most interceptions in the NFL, and 1st overall in sacks. This defense has 2 first-team All-Pros in Minkah Fitzpatrick and T.J. Watt, but just overall loaded. You had Stephon Twitt, who had a sorry about that, career high 11 sacks, and he's a monster against the run. Then you have Pro Bowler Cam Hayward, who you had to double team, which kind of freed Twitt up to get all those sacks. I can go on and on, but Devin Bush, who was injured early in the season, he returns, and Fitzpatrick and Watt, these guys are in their prime. So this defense, again, is going to be one of the best units in the National Football League. So just to recap the three things I like about the Pittsburgh Steelers, I like Najee Harris. I like the young, improving wide receiver core, and I love this defense. And I want to give an honorable mention here to the Steelers organization and Mike Tomlin as head coach. These should have been mentioned in my top three, but I didn't. Definitely have to mention these guys as something that I like about the Steelers. It's one of the best run organizations in all of sports. Now, three things I don't like about the Pittsburgh Steelers. First thing I don't like about the Steelers is the offensive line situation. Now, I use Pro Football Reference and our lads when looking at teams, and according to these two reference sources, Pittsburgh's going to have 5 new offensive linemen going into 2021, and this is really bad because you have Pouncey retired. He went to the last 5 Pro Bowls, and then David DeCastro, who's released in a cost-cutting move, he went to the last 6 Pro Bowls. So you have 2 Pro Bowl linemen over the last 5 and 6 years. They're both gone. I mean, this is definitely a major red flag for anybody who's a Steelers fan. And then this goes hand in hand with the second thing I don't like about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's aging Big Ben. And the 39-year-old starting quarterback has always been known to be banged up. Of course, he missed almost all of 2019. And here's the thing: if you look at his numbers were actually really good. He had a good season if you look at the stat line, but his yards per attempt was an all-time low. His career average yards per attempt is 7.7. He's never had anything below 7. And last year was 6.3. Now, he's not going to throw over 600 times like he did last year, but still, you combine the fact that his arm strength, I mean, you're 39. It makes sense. He's been in the NFL a long time. You have the arm strength dropping, a rebuilt offensive line. These things are kind of working together, and they're definitely a cause for concern. The third thing I don't like about the Pittsburgh Steelers are the corners. I was really surprised when the Steelers moved on from Steven Nelson. He actually played really well, and his contract was a real bargain for the Steelers, but they decided they wanted to go in another direction. And it looks like instead of replacing him with a big name in free agency or drafting a corner, they're just going to use Cameron Sutton. And he signed a 2-year deal last year. So at the end of this season, if he plays well, he's going to get a big contract, if not in Pittsburgh, somewhere else. So he's in a prove-it year. And then Joe Hayden, ironically, also becomes a free agent after this season. And Hayden's played really well for Pittsburgh, but he's 32, entering year 12 in the NFL. So, I mean, his best days are clearly behind him. They also have Justin Lane, who's a player that I really liked coming out of Michigan State. There's a chance he's going to play quite a bit this year. So if he can live up to the potential I saw out of him at Michigan State, you may have some decent corners. But look, Pittsburgh's a 12-win team trying to get to a Super Bowl. And if you're going to get to the Super Bowl in the AFC, you're going to have to face either Kansas City or Buffalo, and these two teams have 2 of the strongest arm quarterbacks I've ever seen, and both of these teams have elite wide receivers, and best case scenario, Pittsburgh, your corners are below average. Now, a great pass rush will always be better than a great secondary, and a great pass rush will help cover up some of those deficiencies that you have at corner, but this means that you have to lead the league in sacks again. So that's just big expectations. So just to recap the 3 things I don't like about the Pittsburgh Steelers: I don't like the offensive line situation. You have aging Big Ben, and your corners are below average. Now, this is the money-making part of the show. This is the advanced class. This is where I break down the Vegas over-under, and I reveal if I am going to put action down on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The over-under for the Pittsburgh Steelers is 8.5. And for over 8.5 is a plus 110, and under 8.5 is negative 130, which means if you think the Steelers are going to win over 8.5 games, plus 110 means that if you wager $100, you'll win 110. And then under 8.5 at negative 130 means you have to wager $130 to win 100. Now, to make the playoffs, yes, for the Steelers to make the playoffs is plus 175. No is negative 200. And to win the AFC North is plus 475. And here's the thing. I am definitely going to be betting on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And here's the drill. Mike Tomlin has been an NFL head coach for 14 years. This is year 15. Tomlin has never had a losing season, not even one. He's been 500 a couple times, but in a 17-game season, you can't go 500. Well, I mean, you could. You can go 8-1, but here's the drill. There are some red flags with the Steelers, some definite red flags, and the schedule is difficult. But there's definitely 9 wins here, and I'm definitely not a Steelers fan, but when I look at this team, they can definitely win 9 games. Now, whether or not they make the playoffs is questionable, but at plus 175, that's really terrific value. And look, they won the division last year, so at plus 475, you got 5-1, almost 5-1 odds to win the North. So you really should take advantage of this. Look, Pittsburgh has the best defense in the division. They have a ton of young playmakers on offense with a future Hall of Fame quarterback and coach. So I strongly recommend that you do what I do, and that's bet on the over, especially over 8.5 with a positive number. Now, most likely what I'm going to do is do an 85-10-5 spread on this. Possibility I may change it to 80-15-5, but right now I'm leaning towards 85-10-5, which means 85% of my bankroll that I'm going to allocate to the Steelers would go on over 8.5. 10% would go to make the playoffs, and then just 5% to win the AFC North. And while I have doubts that this team will make the playoffs, I think for them to win 9 games is a great bet. So look, if you haven't already, like the video, give me a thumbs up, and definitely drop a comment below with what you think the Steelers are going to do in 2021. Now, tomorrow I'm going to break down the Los Angeles Rams. So hey, I will see you tomorrow.